Hey, how you doing today? Johnny the Gamer here, and on this channel I'm all about helping you decide which PSP games are worth it and which ones are definitely not. And in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Ridge Racer, so let's get started. The PlayStation Portable was first released in Japan on December 12th, 2004, in North America on March 24th, 2005, and in PAL regions on September 1st, 2005. It was the first PlayStation handheld that Sony released. 16 games were released at launch. 3 of those games were racing games, and among one of those 3, with Ridge Racer games spanning across pretty much all consoles from all the big companies including Nintendo, Microsoft, and of course PlayStation, the series has been around for quite a while. I'll start off this review with the sound and the music.
Ridge Racer.
There is a hearty variety of music tracks. Although they're not very catchy, I feel like they serve the fast, polished nature of the gameplay pretty well. I really like that they let you choose which tracks you want to listen to right before the race starts. It's pretty cool. My personal favorite, honestly, is just throwing it on shuffle and letting all the songs play from across multiple Ridge Racer games and just let it mix while I'm racing. It's pretty fun. Now, as far as the sounds go in this game, I enjoy them. I think they sound very realistic. The tires have a robust, realistic screeching sound to them when you're hitting those turns and doing your drifting.
This one's yours.
And I always love to rev up my engine right before the race starts, and that sounds really deep and just like I'm in this high-powered machine as well.
3, 2, 1, go!
I also think they did a really good job with the announcer in this game. He really does a great job of telling you when you pulled off something awesome and, you know, you did that awesome drift on those couple turns, or if you pass an opponent, he's gonna let you know, like, oh, you did a great job, and he does it in a very non-annoying way, and it can make you feel good about yourself. So they did a really good job with the announcer as well.
I'm so excited! Come on! Hurry up and start the race! Unbelievable! All right! Whoa, whoa, whoa! You got it! You can pass them! Woo-hoo! Let's go!
I think the only kind of annoying sound that I found while I was playing this game is while you're in the world tour mode, this game, oh man, like, you know how Final Fantasy has their title screens and it's such a classic, iconic, you know, scale that they're playing, and it's just a scale going up and down, but it sounds like so beautiful and it sounds really good. I don't know if that's what they're going for here, but I think it's a scale and it's just going up and up and up.
Yes!
The gameplay is buttery smooth. It's not like a Gran Turismo where everything's kind of, you've got to turn and it's got to be pretty calculated and it's, your car feels pretty heavy. No, this is not like that. It's not as punishing as some other racing games that I've played when it comes to like bumping into walls, for example. It's just not going to slow you down that much when you hit walls. There is a very big learning curve when it comes to the drifting mechanic, however. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just kind of this like gravitational pull when you hit these turns and you're in the, if your car is like sideways while you hit the turn, it kind of keeps you on the road, on the curve. Like, it's very hard to explain. The only thing I can think of to explain it is similar to like bumpers when you're bowling, when you have the bumpers up and you can't really go into the gutter. It's kind of like that in the sense of like, if your car is completely sideways, it's still gonna keep you on the road. That's as best as I can put it. So each race you get 3 tanks of nitrous, and I love this mechanic. It's a very good reward mechanic because if you drift faster, you're gonna fill your nitrous tanks a lot faster as well. And also this kind of introduces this like balancing act of whether, if you're in first place and you want to save up your nitrous tanks, just in case somebody passes you, then you can use all those tanks to keep your position. And then the other side of that is that, if you're far behind, you're going to want to rack up nitrous to get ahead, obviously. But the downside is if you drift too much, then you're going to slow yourself down. So it's this very cool balancing act in the mechanic. So the racers you'll be racing against are usually pretty cunning. They're pretty smart. Usually trying to pass them, you want to try to use your nitrous, but a lot of times they're just going to hit their nitrous right when you hit yours as well. They're pretty smart like that. Yeah, so a lot of times you can't use this to pass people up because the nitrous, quite frankly, it speeds you up, but it doesn't give you too much of an insane speed boost to where you're just passing people left and right. It just kind of, you can pass 1 or 2 cars with nitrous most times, but again, if you use yours to try to pass somebody, the AI is smart enough to just hit theirs as well, and most of the time they're just gonna stick right there with you and you won't be able to pass up anyone. Sometimes my only option is to tell that other driver, well, the jerk store called and they're running out of you. You're probably gonna play the World Tour the most. There's other modes, but World Tour is really just like the meat and potatoes of the game. World Tour is where you can qualify to win new cars, you're gonna unlock those new courses, you're gonna win prizes, which quite frankly I haven't won any of those yet. I'm wondering where they are. I'm still in the process of playing this as I review it, and I hope I get to see what they are. This game was a launch title, as it is with a lot of PlayStation consoles. Ridge Racer is going to be, that game that shows off what the new graphics can do on the new console. So I actually had it as a child. Yes, I was a child when the PSP came out, probably 16 or so, and I was playing this during childhood, and I pretty much mastered that weird but fun drift mechanic I mentioned earlier. So I think coming back and reviewing this game, that helped me a lot to completely annihilate the first set of tours. I really just was getting first place on each and every one of these races, and I was thinking, man, this game is just so easy. But it definitely gets a lot harder. It is very hard to start filling up your nitrous gauges. It gets tough. And of course, as mentioned, you're just going so much faster that you've really got to hone in and just really fine-tune every little tweak in your movement to hit these turns right, because you're just going so fast. So I figured I should at least give these other game modes a mention. So single race mode is a quick one-off race to, if you want to practice, or if you don't have the time to commit and you just want to play 1 or 2 races here or there, this is the mode for you. It starts out not having a whole lot of variety, so you're going to actually be unlocking a lot of the tracks for this single race mode in the World Tour. So I guess I would recommend single race mode to anybody that's, very fresh to this game. They're just diving in and they just want to see how it controls, how it feels. They don't want to worry about playing multiple races and committing to that many and all that. So yeah, just start out with single race mode if you just picked this game up. And then there's a mode that's actually very good for practice. If you're stuck in the World Tour mode or wherever you're at and you cannot beat this guy that's in first place, which has happened to me, time attack mode is just a very awesome way to hone your skills and to beat your own times on these races. because I'm sure you're familiar with the concept. I'm pretty sure every racing game has this. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, so you're gonna complete an entire race with nobody but you on the track, and then you're gonna do that again, and you can toggle on and off in this game specifically, but you can toggle on and off this ghost car that represents you in the last time you raced that race by yourself. So this is going to help you a lot to just beat your own personal time. You're going to see your ghost car right next to you or far behind you or way ahead of you, and that's going to help you really gauge how, just like I said, just really hone how fast you're racing these races, and then you can then take that into, the world tour and practice with time attack, and hopefully you'll get good enough to beat whoever you need to beat. So it's a great way to practice. I thought it was worth mentioning that this game doesn't have any kind of obstacles that get in your way. Really, the only thing that gets in your way is going to be the other racers themselves. So if you're a fan of like Mario Kart, let's say, where you get items on the course and you get shells and you fire them at people and you can have these items to help you get ahead, this doesn't have any of that, so this may not be for you if that's your thing. But at the same time, don't let that steer you away, because just the basic core gameplay really is enough to have fun with this game. There is also a wireless mode which allows you to link up with other players if you know anybody with this game and you have the game and you just got into the PSP or something like that. You can have the ability to play with other people wirelessly, so that's pretty cool. There's another cool feature that this game has that I like, and it's called custom tours, which allows you to pick a set amount of time that you would like to play and then pick the class of car that you would like to play with, and it'll generate this customized tour for you. So, if this is great for if you're on your lunch break at work or just have a little bit of time to play and you really want to get the most out of your time, this would be a great way to do that, because this is just going to generate a customized tour. Unfortunately, it only goes up to 60 minutes. I think it would be fun to set this thing for several hours and just do race after race. And it's really just a great way to, do just that, do race after race after race and not get bombarded with menus and deciding what races you want to take on. So it's really just targeting that person that wants to utilize their time with the game. I wanted to add also that this might not be your cup of tea if you're the type of person that likes probably like a Need for Speed game where you're doing a lot of customizing on your car. You're replacing the mufflers, you're replacing wheels and, cosmetics and stuff like that. This game is not that type of game. It's gonna let you choose basically the color of your car, and that's about it as far as customization goes on your car. Me personally, I like this. I also appreciate the games where you do a lot of customizing your car and beefing it up and souping it up. I really like those as well, but I also like just a casual arcade racing game like this where you just pick it up and play. So I think it's worth mentioning that if you've played the PlayStation Vita version of this game, you might be wondering if it's similar, if it has the same amount of content. Now, I've actually never played the PS Vita version of the game, but I watched a review of it because I was curious, and apparently that game gives you like 5 cars and I forget how many, just very few tracks. I think it was 5 tracks or something like that. Don't quote me, but the point is it gives you very little content to start out with. If you're wondering if that's the case with the PlayStation Portable version, I've found that that's not the case at all. It has way more cars that you just keep unlocking over and over when you're doing World Tour. They just keep flying out of that trailer that they unlock from. And yeah, I just thought it was worth pointing out that if you've played that Vita version, this is going to be a lot different and it's going to have way more to offer content-wise. Dude, so this is what I'm talking about. I'm sitting here in post-editing this review, and I just got done talking about how the Vita, it hardly has any cars or tracks, and you have to download all that for extra money. This is what I love about games back in the day. I know I sound old, but look at this. I just found out that you can unlock these special cars, and they have these cool cosmetic. One of them looks like a pixelated car. The other one looks like it's got got like a plane with propellers on it, and this is all included in the game. You don't have to pay any extra. You just have to use your skill set and beat races, and this is a huge incentive for me to go back and play the rest of this game after this review. I hate when they do DLC wrong. Sometimes DLC's okay, but Ridge Racer on the Vita, you done f***ed up. So the graphics look fantastic. I just kind of think some of the mountains can look blobby if you really get a good glance at the textures that you're, flying next to. Sometimes they can look a little bad and not very detailed. That said, though, the cutscenes are amazing, and, some of the sunset races really showcase how beautiful the graphics can be, the beach scenery. Some of them have like a helicopter, there's a plane in one of them, there's a big colorful Ferris wheel. It really did a fantastic job of just excelling at looking realistic, especially in the distant scenery. Basically, the more far away things are, the more realistic they look. Also, I want to say that the night races look freaking gorgeous. They're so nice to look at. They're very, very just graphically impressive for the time that this game was released in. I hadn't played this game since childhood, and I'm happy to report that it still holds up today. There are 39 tours with 2 to 6 races each, and if you enjoy the distinctive drifting mechanic, then you'll absolutely be able to get countless hours out of this game. So I would definitely deem this game very replayable. So, is it worth your time? The big question that I try to help you out with. I highly recommend getting your hands on this game if you are at all into collecting for the PSP or just appreciate this console and are trying out games for it. I think it's absolutely worth your time.